CIGTV News Update, I'm Donna Bush. It's been a whirlwind first week in the Cayman Islands for His Excellency Governor Martin Roper. His Excellency toured Her Majesty's Northwood Prison on Monday morning. He tells us why he made the visit.
I wanted to come just to talk to prison staff, the director and some of the prisoners, just get a sense for some of the challenges in the prison. And we've had a very useful visit, got a sense of some of the concerns, and I know that there is a programme of continuous improvement to ensure that this is a facility which offers the best that we can. And I'm also here because we've just launched a new independent monitoring board for the prison, which will provide some additional surveillance, some checks of best practice and offer some recommendations for improvements which will be independent of government, but its recommendations will be enforced. And I think that's a very positive development, and it will be with some UK support and experience.
Governor Roper was joined by Minister for Home Affairs, the Honourable Tara Rivers, on the Monday morning tour of Northwood Prison. She spoke more on the addition of the independent monitoring board.
This will give us an independent set of eyes and ears to come in and regularly do a check on what's happening and to give some concrete proposals about how things can be improved. Of course, there is a rigorous training program that this Board of Volunteers would need to go through, and I know that training has already started because we want to make sure that they have the skill sets or being able to ask and know which questions to ask and how to interact with the prison community as well, because they will have to do that as a part of their job. So this is one example of the partnership that certainly the ministry and the government has with the UK government in trying to find solutions to some of the issues that we may be having here. And as I said, as a government, we have invested heavily in terms of supporting and augmenting the resources for the prison, and we want to make sure that we're actually getting what we signed up to get from a budget perspective, and that I think the board will help us to answer those questions as well.
As we reported on Friday, on the weekend, His Excellency Governor Roper was joined by his wife, Mrs. Elizabeth Roper, his staff, and Premier the Honourable Alden McLaughlin, as he visited Little Cayman and Cayman Brac. The first stop was Little Cayman, where they visited the museum, Little Cayman School, and the Central Caribbean Marine Institute, amongst other places. The group then boarded the plane at the Edward Bodden Airfield on the littlest of our three islands for Cayman Brac, where they would continue a busy schedule of stops. A welcome reception was held on the Brac, where His Excellency was entertained by high school students. His Excellency received a warm welcome to the sister islands as he was presented with gifts and shown Cayman-kind hospitality on both Little Cayman and Cayman Brac. Early Saturday morning, Governor Roper took part in the Cancer Society's 5K stride and attended the opening of the health fair, where everyone was able to get free health checks. He then visited various other places on Cayman Brac, including Faith Hospital, the Heritage House, the Water Authority plant, and Walton's Mango Manor. The governor was also able to meet and mingle with residents of both sister islands during his visit. The delegation also visited the sports field and new school and emergency center. Governor Roper says he has enjoyed the visit while becoming familiar with the Cayman Islands and its people since arriving on island just 1 week ago. In other news this Monday, recently the Office of Education Standards released its latest reports on the most recent schools inspections. I sat down with director and a senior inspector from the OES to talk more about the process, which will now happen every 2 years.
The inspections are of public schools and private schools and all early years centres on Cayman. At the moment, the education law requires the schools to be inspected at least once every 4 years. However, recently the Minister of Education and Education Council have recommended that that process should be a bit more regular, and therefore from September 2018 and the next 2 academic years, every school will be inspected once. So that's once every 2 years as opposed to once every 4 years as the law dictates. Reports are published on the government website, on the Office of Education Standards website. And so far we've published about 20 reports. We have 2 sorts of inspections. We have a short, what we call a follow-through inspection, which is a bit like a health check, a sort of progress check of the schools, and we've completed those over the last year in all of the government primary schools. More recently, in addition, we've undertaken our full inspections, and we've visited, as I say, public and private schools and 2 early years centres. And those reports are now available for the public to read on our website.
It is important, first of all, to note that we have a consistent reference point by which we judge the quality of educational provisions in the schools. And so in June, we published the Successful Schools and Achieving Students Framework, which delineates very clearly the 6 performance standards that inspectors assess when we go into school. Now, as part of that narrative, there's a variety of ways in which we collect evidence about the quality of provision. So the performance standards will look at teaching, learning, the quality of the curriculum, leadership, self-improvement planning, and so on. Okay. So in collecting evidence to judge the quality of those areas, we look at interviewing important stakeholders within the school community, members of the senior leadership team. We interview students. And we also, 75% of our time is spent in lesson observations.
And we invite you to join us on Tuesday evening when we hear more about the school's inspections process and how parents can help. Finally, a reminder to go online to gis.gov.ky if you'd like to take a look at what programs are on CIGTV this week. Just be sure to click on the publications link at the bottom of the home page. And of course, if you missed our broadcast here on CIGTV, you can still catch it on the Cayman Islands Government Facebook page, as well as the CIG Television YouTube channel. For now, I'm Donna Bush, as always, thanking you for joining me, wishing you a wonderful and, of course, a very safe night. Hoping you'll join me back here again tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye for now.
Boating, fishing, and water sports in the Cayman Islands are great, but keep a cool head. Here are 7 tips for fun and safe sea outings. Number 1. Use a checklist to plan your outing. Check the weather forecast, make a float plan, and share it with someone who is remaining on land, stating where you're going, with whom, and when you're expected to return. Visit your nearest marine supply store to get your safety gear. This includes signaling mirrors, whistles, and a flare kit. It's also very important to have onboard flotation devices and life vests for each person. There are different types of vests. Some are for water sport activities such as snorkeling, and others are for going on offshore boating or on fishing trips. Number 2. These items can be lifesavers in case of an accident or bad weather. Number 3. Use a motor kill switch, especially if you're boating alone. In case of a leak or breakdown, always stay with the boat until help arrives. If you capsize, an emergency beacon or locator device can send a distress signal to inform the authorities of your location. Larger flares will indicate distress to a boat, airplane, or search and rescue officials. Number 4. In addition to sunscreen, food, and beverages, it would be smart to have a cell phone. Make sure your marine radio works. Cayman's boaters use Channel 16 to communicate. Number 5. Also, don't forget your anchor and sufficient rope. Number 6. Boat operators should be familiar with the local waters and reefs, as well as the capabilities and functions of the vessels they are using. Always obey the rules of the sea and the marine environment, and have courtesy for others. Number 7. Alcohol and salt water do not mix, especially if you're the captain. Some useful contact numbers are 911. The RCIPS Marine Base is 649-7710, and the Port Authority is 949-2055. Smooth sailing, all!